Well, good morning. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We're covering the case of Nancy Guthrie. And lately, what has been talked about is the ransom note. And we have been challenging the legitimacy of the ransom notes that we've heard of. And then, of course, Harvey Levin from TMZ started talking about his communications with the FBI and how they feel about the ransom notes. And he starts explaining some of the things that are in the ransom notes. But the problem I have with all of this is, why is nobody releasing the actual ransom note so we the people can make our own determinations instead of it being filtered through talking heads and talking pieces?
Bullhorn Betty rocks.
So come on in and let's talk about this serious topic. Are these ransom letters even legitimate? And if so, why can't the FBI just release them?
Files on the table. We clocking early, hunt what's unstable. Bullhorn Betty on the curb, voice raised. Flip-flop queen with the homemade phrase. Notebook thick, got the screenshots flag. Names in red ink, every rumor, every tag. Late night live stream, screen glow on her face. Truth in her throat, got a lawman's pace. She don't blink when the threats roll through. Come see me, she says, if you think that's cute. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. Insane Asylum, that's our crew nickname. Laugh so loud while we track these names. Whiteboard wild with the webs we spin. Pen to pen, see the pattern sink in. Turmo shaking when the case goes cold. We stir it back up, won't do what we're told. Doorstep question, side eye stare. Where were you that night? We hanging right there. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. This for the faces on the milk cart labels. This for the families praying at tables. This for the names that the news won't say. We say them out loud every single day. Every day. If you're running in the dark, better feel that fear. Betty got a bullhorn right in your ear. Coffee club crazy, but we think so clear. One small town, whole world gonna hear. Hey! Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that the day gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get vengeance.
Well, good morning, good early morning, good day to the coffee club. I'm Bullhorn Betty. Many of you guys know me. If you don't know me by this, you know me by this. Okay, not too many people know me by that, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm here. It's nice to see you guys. Happy hump day to everybody in the chat. We got several videos and lives that are going to be going on today. I hope you guys grab a station, grab a channel, grab a show. We've got a few. We're going to be talking about Lily and Jack Sullivan later today. Lily and Jack Sullivan, a couple kids out of Nova Scotia, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, Canada, disappeared May 2nd, 2025. It's been well over a year. Nobody has seen hide nor hair of these children. And then, of course, we have their stepfather, Daniel Martell. He's come under heavy scrutiny. He's dealing with a whole nother court case related to keeping somebody against their will, essaying them. It's just a hot mess express. And all we want to know is what happened to the children. Where are the children? children and try to bring these children home, either to rest at peace or to reunite them with their family. So we're not sure where that case is going, but after a year, it's always a default for me that when a child's been missing for a certain amount of time, it is presumed that they are deceased. So that's kind of the assumption that we are taking. Doesn't mean that my assumption is accurate, true, or correct. It's just an assumption that is made at some point in most of these cases where we have to decide, is the person living or is the person dying or deceased? Because that does change how we search and what we do for those cases. So anyways, welcome to the Bullhorn Betty channel. Again, we're covering the case of Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old mother, ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by at least one bad guy. We're not sure, if there's more. We presume that there may be, but so far, no evidence, no actual physical concrete evidence that we can see a secondary person. Some people are starting to do stuff with the photos and trying to find people in the photos. I look at them and I'm like, I can't tell if those are shadows. The height doesn't match to the surrounding items. There's a lot of things I look at when I'm looking at these photos. That's why the car was very interesting to me. The height, the size, everything was proper with the photo and the image and stuff like that behind it. Proper reduction in size, compared to close. So that was pretty obvious for me. But these other things that are being sent to me, not so obvious, not mathematically measured correctly in the photos. So it causes a little bit of, and that could also be, we don't know how far away the item was or the person was. Because we can do a lot of stuff with, image. I mean, think about how movies are made. They use, so not that people are using trick photography, but there's, people unintentionally take pictures and, things may look closer. I don't know if you've seen people where they take their camera, back it up, put it on the ground, put a spoon with water in it, and then, put something over it, and then you walk 50 or 100 feet, and it looks like you're walking on water. It's stuff like that. You got to make sure that your measurements, that, stuff like that. So I'm not an expert in those things, but those are things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at these images behind the person. I have never really, me personally, and I don't anticipate that my audience completely agrees. I'm sure there are. Well, you know what? Let's do a poll. Let's poll you guys. We only have 118 people, but we'll leave the poll open for a little bit of time as people start, waking up and coming into the show this morning. But let's find out, do you believe the ransom, make sure I spelled it right. Note is real? ? Yes or no? I mean, those are the only options that I think are appropriate for today's show. So let's poll the audience. Let's poll the audience. So people that want to come in and poll, we got a poll going right now. Do you guys believe that the ransom notes are legitimate or not legitimate? Yes or no? It's whatever, however you feel about them. Just the I don't know doesn't work. You need to find out which one's pulling you to which way first. Do you believe it or not believe it? If you're kind of middle of the road, like even me, I'm not completely, married to I don't believe it, but I've got to see more stuff. So right now I'm a no. Until I see more evidence that these things are legitimate. Yes, Sam, what's your here? We see you. Hey, love. I hope you're doing well. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Weather Junkie, it's nice to see you. I hope you're back and feeling better. Good morning. Yeah, I've been feeling, I did have some more pain in the shoulder, a little bit minor stuff, but I feel much better. I feel much better. As a matter of fact, I will not lie, the patches sped the recovery, because the last time I did the lights, I think I was down for like 2 or 3 days, and I was up the next day moving around. So it was still stiff, but not like it was. Love the salon pause. I never knew if those things really work. They numbed my skin and everything under it. I'm just saying. They work. So good morning. Who else do we have? If I've missed you guys, did I even say good morning to anybody this morning? Let me just go by and say hi to everybody. Sandy, Melanie, Mama, Whispering Winds. Oh, Whispering Winds. It's nice to see you, love. Horsey Love, YouTuber. Hello, D. The Boss, Melanie. Sorry. Sandy, it's nice to see you. That's Sparkly Gma. Aw, you're sparkly today. True Crime Junkie, Michelle, it's nice to see you. Darla, good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. True Crime Junkie. Who else do we have? Michelle, it's nice to see you. Summary, good morning, guys. Busy Mama. Oh, Seth is up in the house. Well, good morning. I hope you are doing well as possibly can with everything that's going on in your sphere. Good morning. We're going to try to keep it a little light. I really don't have anything to scream at you guys about. I don't have anybody tell off this morning. It's not part of the script, at least. We're going to be, telling the FBI it's time to release the ransom note, but I don't think we need to, go all in. Not for today's show. So thank you. He reminds us, please go over and check out his son, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. He has been missing since February 25th, 2024, reported missing February 26th, 2024, has been missing well over 2 years. Beautiful soul. We want to find him, bring him home, reunite him with his father. If you have any information, please reach out to the FBI. It is nice to see you. Who else do we have? I think I got everybody so far. Pat, good morning. It's nice to see you. Colleen. If I missed some people, Downey, it's nice to see you. Momo, Bonnie, sorry. Maybe I'm thinking too much of Jelly Roll and Bunny's problems this day and age. Colleen, it's nice to see you. Did I say hi? Arizona Raven, it's nice to see you. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Handsome Man, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Did Savannah instruct the sheriff at Pima County to arrest YouTube streamers? I don't think she did. I mean, I to be honest with you, I don't know. Hello, sweet Caroline. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, it's nice to see you. I saw some people. Lori, Jen, Alicia, Hellraiser up in the house. It's nice to see you. Carol Ann, good morning, guys. Grandma Ladybug. Aw, see, lady. I always call people, I call them love bugs, but I love ladybugs. It's nice to see you. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, good morning. Oh, Raccoon, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Almost missed you. Vicky, I almost missed you as well. So good morning, everybody. I think we said hi to everybody. If I missed you, I'm super sorry. It's nice to see you. I know it is. It's super addictive. That's why every time I see Sweet Carolina, I see it just rolls off the tongue. It rolls off the tongue. So as we know, we've been talking a lot about these ransoms. Like these ransom notes just rear their ugly head. And then it comes back to Howard Bloom. We read the article yesterday that Howard Bloom put out. And he's like, oh, thank you. Let them 60. Oh, I didn't see you there. Oh, it must have cut the first morning up. Let them 66. Good morning. Rican, it's nice to see you. Hopefully I said that right. If I didn't, Deb, good morning. Crystal Pistol, hey guys, come on in. Good morning. Good morning. It's nice to see you. I love it. So it comes back to what we were very passionate, or very opinionated, very passionate. I can't get, I'm going home, okay? I'm shutting I can't read this morning. Good gracious, lady. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You have something else? Wake the heck up, lady. Wake the heck up. Good gracious. All right, let's get back on track. You got it. Let go. Oh, gracious. Anyways, so it comes back to like Howard Blum, where he says that law enforcement keeps going back to the ransoms by default. The problem is with the ransoms, and I think I've beat a dead horse at this point. It's the timing, right? It's the time that they've been at the house, the time that they were at the house, how long it took them to actually send the first ransom note, 6 days later. I don't think this lady lasted 6 days. That's the problem, I don't think she lasted 6 days. I barely think she lasted 48 hours, if at all. Because if you guys know my theory, or you guys have been watching, hey Rue, good morning. If you guys have been watching me for any significant time, I've had, 2 major theories that I've had. And one's based upon multiple assailants, and one is based upon a single assailant. My single assailant, I believe, is a sexually motivated crime. I believe that was the motivation behind it. This is somebody that probably came to her house to service her house, saw her out and about, followed her home, or something to that nature. Somebody that may have came in contact with her personally, that she actually knew that she came in contact with, or maybe somebody she didn't know she came in contact with that, like I said, followed her home, right? And made this major plan. There's something in that ransom note that's got people, looking, and I think maybe we may have misunderstood this initial ransom note at the beginning of this, because many of us were distracted. We learned that the person, one of the original notes must have indicated some type of truth in there, or something they believed to be true, like maybe something that Nancy was wearing, right? I think that's now come to the forefront, that they did describe the clothing that Miss Nancy Guthrie was in. And I think many people were thinking they were referring to the pajamas, and they may be referring to the pajamas. And if they are referring to the pajamas, again, how would they know? Okay, you're talking about adult children that haven't lived at home for a really, really long time. Mom's capable of ordering things on Amazon, Walmart, and other things. The nightgowns that she was accustomed to wearing, 20 and 30 years ago, I'm certain she doesn't wear today. And again, coming back to even my own family, if I disappeared in the middle of the night, would my mother really know what I was wearing? Does my mom really even know you guys know what pajamas I have, the ones that I've shown you on camera with Bedhead Betty. But other than that, have you guys would never even know what pajamas I have, or what I truly sleep in at night, right? So again, how would, if I was ripped out of my bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman, how would my mom be able to describe what I was wearing that evening? I don't think she would be able to. So, and we've kind of bounced back and forth with that conversation. But yesterday when we read it didn't sound the same as I always thought it to be, right? So I was thinking it was the pajamas. But then when we read it again, I realized they never referenced what she was wearing. They are, to us, they never referenced whether it was the day clothes or the night clothes. So if the person was able to describe what Nancy was wearing when she went over to Annie and Tommaso's house for dinner and games, well, now we're talking about something that may really legitimize these ransom notes, right? So again, if they were to say, we're talking about a lady with mobility issues. If they were to say she had a floral, over the neck nightgown, right? I think every little old lady that I know has a little floral over the neck nightgown. I don't know. Do we have little old ladies in here that have over the neck gowns that don't have pants and stuff to them? Not that you guys are. Everybody's like, Betty, I'm not raising my hand to that question. We got a few. Okay, well, hallelujah. Yeah, but just because the Uber doesn't mean this perpetrator, unless we say that Uber is the perpetrator, which I don't know if we've got enough day dress, not yet. Okay. But this is great, but I really do think that, if it was described like that, I truly do believe that would match just about every older lady that I know. I wear gowns, no pants. Exactly. I think, and a lot of people that have mobility issues, because it's hard to get your legs up and down, right? When you have mobility issues, one of the problems are, and you guys, people with broken bones, like broken ankles and legs, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? How did you guys move around? Yeah, you didn't want to wear shorts. You definitely didn't want to wear pants, did you? You would much rather have a shirt that went from the top to the bottom, and that be your what you wear. It's kind of the same way. Nobody wants to lift their legs. It's because she's in pain. So you're going to look. Now that you know these things, wouldn't it be easy to conclude that if you were going to make a ransom note to sound legitimate? Yeah, we ripped her out of the bed. She was wearing, a gown, a pajama gown with floral print on it, and they're like, oh my gosh. My mom has a gown with floral print on it. And you go in there and she's got 5 floral print gowns. And you're like, one's got to be missing. One's got to be missing. You see where I'm going with this? So I think at this point, if Harvey is allowed to speak on these ransom notes, if the FBI gave him, carte blanche to talk about these ransom notes, to go into detail with his audience about, the conversations he's had with FBI, he got permission to do this. Why doesn't the FBI just come forward and say, here are the ransom notes? Maybe somebody in the public might recognize them. Or even redact some of the information in that ransom note that they feel is, integral. Like, maybe they said some other things that's not public yet. Maybe about the earbuds. People talked about the hearing aids, the Apple Watch. There was a few other details inside that, but even like the Apple Watch, from our understanding, they identified where the Apple Watch is. But most people, I think, even myself, everything that I have, my phones, both phones, anything that I'm is right next to my bed at night. So, if something was like that, I don't know about you guys, but I charge my phone next to my bed. When I had a Fitbit, my charger was right next to the bed. So I would take my phone, charge it in, take my Fitbit off, plug it on the little clampy thingy, and wake up the next morning, put it on, and go. So, I'm really trying to play this through, but the problem is we don't know what's in this ransom. It's being filtered through somebody else's eyes and mouth, They're the ones just trying to describe all of this for us. And it doesn't make it, because it's sounding different for each person, because we all have our own minds, and when something is described to us, our minds may describe it or put it in our minds differently from person to person. So if they're allowed to release the details of the ransom note, why not just release the ransom note or excerpts of the ransom note that have already been discussed, that are no shock to the people? But now to all of a sudden say that she's buried in nature, and we're just this is just a little piece, a little nugget of what was in the second letter, and then we go over to Harvey and come to find out he wasn't even privy to the second letter, and it's like, well, how were you privy to the first letter? And why are these people only sending it to this one? And I heard the second letter only went to one, not all 3 of the news organizations. So yeah, they may have had the same wallet, and they may have been in concert with one another, but it surely sounds like there were very distinct actions. And what person would literally reach out after the person has died and they're worried about homicide charges? Why even rock the boat at that point? Leave it alone. That next time you reach out to him might be the time that you're caught. So, I mean, I'm thinking of all of these things in my mind that have to be going on in the perpetrator's mind if they truly are, took this lady for ransom. But the caveat is what she was wearing. Now, I truly believe if they described accurately, now, and I still have a caveat on this, but I'm going to say it. If they described her clothes accurately, the clothes that she was wearing when she went to Annie and Tommaso's house for dinner, my first question would be, did they take any photos of that night and post them to social media? Because with the Wayback Machine and all these other things, even if they had deleted those posts, it is possible for those posts to be accessible. And if it comes down to that, that question would need to be answered. If nobody posted any photos of Miss Nancy Guthrie that night on any social media and nobody had it and they were able to accurately describe what she was wearing, and that would have to be for the family to know what she was wearing, in my opinion, it would have had to have been the clothes she wore to Annie and Tommaso's house that evening, not what she went to bed in. And if it was the clothes then that is why this is getting so much attention and so much weight. But if we're talking about pajamas, then I'm going to be back in the same field that I'm in, where I just don't believe the ransom note, because all of the things that would have been put in there could have been assumed. It could have been assumed, right? Again, going through the processes of what I'm saying. It seems to me that some people were capitalizing on this. Now, were there some numbnuts that some idiots that thought we can get some money off this chick, this lady? It comes down to why they didn't go after Annie or Annie's kid. I mean, if that was the nature of this, in all fairness, you have to ask, why Miss Nancy Guthrie? Yeah, she was vulnerable, but so is a child. And so is Annie. And it sounds like Annie and Tommaso weren't together up each other's butts every day with a little watching, a little stalking, a little, not that I'm saying this, we're playing the tape through is all we're doing on this show. This is for educational purposes only. This is for newsworthy purposes only, but we are, just playing the tape through. Why Miss Guthrie? There were other people that lived close by that had limited protection, or, it doesn't seem like anybody really believes they're in danger out there with all those drugs and homeless people, And I don't think Chris McDonough, it's kind of funny because I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm not bringing it up on the show, but it is kind of funny. We had Jennifer Coffindaffer, and I don't know if you guys noticed, Jennifer Coffindaffer and Chris McDonough kind of going head to head, right? Because Chris McDonough's like, who the hell thinks it's a wrench attack, and he goes out and starts telling him, I'd be worried about it being a criminal right in this area, and starts talking about some of the homeless people. So homeless people, they get the know, okay? Even though they're not involved, or it's somebody that was well planned and stuff like that, people need to get rid of stuff, and they usually use those low-level people to get rid of evidence and other stuff and pay them money that they wouldn't normally get. So, I mean, don't discredit that, but I don't think he was basically saying a homeless guy did it. And so Jennifer Coffindaffer comes out and says, whoever would think a homeless person would do this? And I'm like, ooh, where's my popcorn? Where's my popcorn? How long is this going to last? We got Chris McDonough and Jennifer Coffindaffer, kind of duking it out there. I mean, professionally. They weren't dogging anybody, but they were professionally doing it. But it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. Jennifer, I think Chris said something, but Jennifer didn't like it. And she's like, oh, but you think it's a freaking homeless person? And I'm like, should I have gotten the vacuum cleaner out like everybody else does? Dear Lord, I lift those that... No, let's see. Oh, that's so sweet, the boss. It says, let me move my coffee cup so I can read it. It says, Dear Lord, I lift those who need you today. Please lay your healing hands upon them, ease their pain, and grant them the strength to recover. Surround them with your peace and comfort. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I love that. Harvey was under fire for covering the story about the deceased pedo guy. Literally days before Nancy went missing, Harvey, who admittedly was called and under fire by the FBI for propagating. I believe he was. I don't like Harvey. Listen, I'm not a Harvey Levin person. I'm done. I'm over the whole. I don't like TMZ. I don't like TMZ. TMZ is not where I go to get news. I don't like Harvey. I don't like his team. You know what? He looks like a washed up drug addict. I mean, that's what he looks like to me. I don't like him. Okay? He might have money, but he's one of those other people that have got problems upstairs. When I know. You know, I just don't support, and I don't like TMZ, okay? I really don't. I hate TMZ. I shouldn't say hate. Hate's such a strong word, and I do hate some things, but TMZ I don't hate. I dislike them. I dislike their coverage. I dislike their lack of moral compass. You know? Lack of moral compass. The cheering. You know, like I never even liked TMZ even when we sold the interview I did with Dog. I didn't like them then, but you know what? They paid for the interview. I gave it to them. So, you know, it is what but I don't like them. I don't like them. And I would never, I would never, ever, ever do business with them again. Ever. Period. Never. Ever, ever. Ever, ever, ever. Watch me say that, and then somebody purchase it, and it gets on TMZ. Watch. I'm just saying. Yeah, and the Buried with Nature, and that's another thing that Harvey said. He said, I never got the ransom. That's how I realized, you know, breaking news, folks. Harvey didn't get the second note. Ooh, Harvey didn't get the second note. So it makes you wonder how he got the first note. Because it seems to me that somebody didn't want this out, and then somebody pushed it to TMZ knowing it would get out. And it doesn't seem like it would be the guy, okay? It seems like somebody behind the scenes, like Savannah's team, the FBI. Somebody pushed this to Harvey, because the first one he got days after the other news organizations. And if you notice anything, none of the other news organizations were really talking about it. But guess what? It wound up on Harvey Levin's desk, and guess what? It was out there like what? You know, because again, he knows about breaking news. He knows freedom of press. And again, whether I like him or not, he needs a click and a view, okay? I'm just saying, he needs a click and a view, so he's not going to let a click and a view pass him by. And I think whoever sent him that knew that. I'm just saying. OG, it's nice to see you, love bug. Colleen, good morning. Good morning. Who says buried in nature? And it, you know, and a lot of people have brought that up. Because it sounds poetic. Maybe we're looking at this all wrong. What if it's somebody that came in contact with Annie and Tommaso that ended up meeting the mom? What if it's somebody from Annie and Tommaso's poet class? You know, how long has it been since they stopped doing the poetry class? I mean, if it was still going on, how do we know? I mean, somebody knew something. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands, out of all the eyewitnesses that we have out there in the Catalina foothills, we had the lady and I think maybe her husband, or maybe it was another neighbor. I couldn't tell. It sounds like they might be married. I don't know. But at the end of the day, they were out there. The lady on January 11th, she remembers because her birthday was on January 8th, so they had just celebrated her birthday days before, and she remembers the exact date that she saw somebody in street clothes that did not look like they fit, like they belonged there. I think is the word she may have used, like they belong there. They didn't belong, but they didn't belong there. They were in street clothes. They weren't people walking around like normal people. And so it caught her attention, and she kind of watched him, and he was looking down her street and looking down Nancy's street, and it was just really bizarre. So bizarre that she ended up calling her sister and warning her sister of a weird guy. So that's significant. And that happened on January 11th. And that's when we observed the first photo of this creep outside of Nancy's door, right? So I have to caution everybody so far with all the eyewitness people out there, the people that said I saw a guy, and the 11th film was a guy. And again, the night that she disappeared, we see a guy, okay? And I think this is important because so far, outside of people really trying to show another person in a photo, we have no other person that we've observed either by witness, testimony, or on camera at this home. We've had no other people revealed to us. Not that there are none. I'm not saying there aren't, but I have to caution people making the leap that there are multiple people on location without sufficient evidence is you can't do that. You can theorize, but you can't make it factual, because all we have seen so far is one person. All the witnesses out there that observed a strange person only observed one person. I think it's very, very, very important for us not to make the leap. I know it's easy to do, and it's hard not to make the leap, but I truly believe, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by prematurely making this sound like this is a multi-person when there's no evidence of that, just assumptions. There's not even an iota of neighbors, physical evidence, visual evidence, nothing confirmed. Yeah, nothing. The only thing we have confirmed is one guy. The only thing reported as being in that neighborhood looking around on the 11th that was observed by a neighbor was one guy. It wasn't two guys. She didn't observe two men out there. She didn't observe three men out there. She observed one. Now, mind you, the night that this happened, there was one guy. Well, we found out that same guy was there almost 20 days prior. But it wasn't multi-guys. It was still only one guy observed. Now, if they were just doing a dry run, why wasn't his partner right next to him as they're discussing how they're going to do all this? Because that is truly what it was, right? We could see that he was fully clothed in the same clothes that he wore the night that he decided to break into her home. Are we sure this wasn't a dry run? Or maybe the 11th was truly supposed to be the date. And when he got there, he realized he was ill prepared to break into the home. And the next time he had an opportunity to get the kahunas was on the 31st into the 1st. We don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is so far, out of all the evidence that we've got by eyewitnesses and video and photo surveillance, only shows one guy. I don't think one guy could get... you'd be surprised. You would be surprised. Especially somebody in the construction industry. And the reason why is because somebody that, especially electricians, which we believe that this guy, 1/9 Evan baby passed, January 11th, my triplets were born. Sad. Sad, sad, sad. So, you would be surprised, because I can tell you my father was an electrician and he had to put up poles. I saw him take almost a 300 or 400 pound pole and install it basically himself, rolling it off the trailer, rolling it to the hole, going all the way down and walking it all the way into the hole. That is a 2-man job that I watched a man do by himself. So, oh, thank you, Raccoon Sleuth Sheepdog. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the generosity. We appreciate you. I'm blaming menopause for everything. Give me a few years, I'll be right there with you. Give me a few years, I'll be right there with you. But, you know, people, when they need to do things, especially like firemen and electricians and other people that have to handle heavy weight, I don't know if you see some of those wire rolls. Those wire rolls can be very, very, very heavy. I know, because I used to carry them in. And sometimes they were so heavy, all I could do was drag them in or drop them and just roll them in. Right? They were in a roll, so sometimes they were so damn, especially that some of the ones that were this big, you just kind of they're taped up and you know, you just gotta roll them on in there, you know? You can't lift them up and it'll break your back to drag them in, right? So you just gotta roll it all in and then drop it on over. That's kind of what you gotta do. So, I mean, you'd be surprised, especially people that have been in the military. They're taught how to save comrades. They're taught how to save fallen comrades. They're taught how to run with a person over their shoulders that's completely unconscious. So yes and no. I disagree. And not only that, they were around her house that had umpteen million things that could have helped bring her out, you know, drag her to wherever they needed to drag her or whatever. I'm just saying that, you know, I think that we're doing ourselves, I mean, we can have it as a theory that there's multi-people, but I think it's a disservice if you totally eliminate a single person, a single assailant, because so far with everything we're seeing, we're not seeing a secondary or third person. We're just not. The people in the community have it. And my point is if they were there on the 31st and what we would probably deem a dry run, right? He was standing right in front of her front door. So obviously he was checking around the house to find out where everything was and what all he needed to get into when he decided to come back. So if he's going to do that kind of dry run, wouldn't it be presumed that he would want his people there so they were all on the same page, they knew exactly what they needed to do, that you would see the driver or at least the other person that was going in on the back side of the house there with him walking around the house? I mean, that's the problem that I have, is that nobody has seen any other person with this masked gunman, the porch guy. We have seen no one, zero. So that's the only thing I have. Now we're getting back to the ransom note. If this porch guy is affiliated or the ransom guy or the ransom note and it's legitimate, I'm sorry. Can somebody just tell me how all of this is legitimate? And if the ransom notes are legitimate, redact what you need to redact out of them and post them out to the public. How many people believe, this is a show of ones and twos, how many people believe that law enforcement should release at least a redacted? A redacted means that if there's information in the ransom note that they don't want the public to know, they black it out. That's what redaction means. They black stuff out. So if you don't know what a redaction means, it's that, you know, when you see those forms, like I'm sure everybody's probably peeked their head into somebody talking about Epstein and maybe a file, and they pull up a paper and you see like words and then you see all these black lines. That's a highly redacted piece of paper there. So what I'm saying is that, you know, there's obviously some statements in these ransom notes that are already public knowledge. So there is probably some things in the ransom notes that are not public knowledge. So I'm saying remove the stuff, you know, black out all the stuff that is not public knowledge and release the ransom note. Release the ransom note so we can see the structure of the sentences, that we can see the words that were used. Like we just read Howard Blum, right? We just read an Airmail article, and you guys know he talks. I'm a college educated individual, and you need to be a scholar to read his articles. I think he really needs to dumb them down. I'm surprised so many people can. I mean, he loses me with all the words, with all this, maybe I'm just too new school for him, but our attention this day and age is getting less and less. You got to keep keep people's attention. And when you use big words and you have to freaking use a dictionary to read an article, I don't have time for that. Okay. There's probably words that I used in a spelling bee probably when I'm in 6th grade. Okay. I've never circled back to the word before in my life. But I know I must have heard it, because I went through school, but the words he was using just took away from. I'm sure the story would have been lovely, but we had to stop reading it because it was so damn confusing using all these words, and it was unnecessary. I think is the point. It was completely utterly unnecessary. So I hope he starts dumbing his articles down just a little bit. People just don't understand those words. Even if we pronunciated them correctly on the show, I'd still have half my audience that would be lost. Like, what does that mean? And that's not fair to the reader. It's just not fair to the reader. So I digress. But either way, we know that there are certain details of these ransom notes that have been that are freely talked about. So again, it comes down to release the damn ransoms, right? The FBI just needs to release them. They might trigger something. Somebody might be able to identify somebody, and then at least for ourselves, we can decide, or at least for the FBI just to come forward. You know what? In the alternative, okay, they don't want to. Let's say they don't want to release the ransom notes. There's something in the ransom notes that goes too much to the integrity of the investigation. Okay, let's just say that is the case. Fine. In the alternative, I think the FBI needs to come forward and tell us that the 2 ransom notes are legitimate, or one of the ransom notes are legitimate, right? But it's my understanding the reason why they have to incorporate the second ransom note is because they share the same wallet number. They were from different IP addresses, but it's my understanding the wallet number was still the same. And I'm trying to sit here and think, because on one hand, we're told that the message came in and basically said your mom's deceased, but still wanted to collect money, but didn't discuss collecting money. The whole thing is a mess. I just don't understand how people can go into this house and do such great investigation and action planning to get into a house to commit this crime. They did all of this planning, went out there several times, right? We got them on the camera on January 11th. We're even hearing that there's something for January 24th, perhaps. And then she was obviously taken between the 31st and the 1st, January 31st into February 1st. And so we're seeing that they've been there. So I'm just, it doesn't seem like, I don't know where I'm going with this, other than the feds, I believe, need to release the ransom note. We will learn so much more about the person, about the subject, if the ransom note is released. Is this guy the guy that authored these ransom notes? And if not, the FBI needs to come out and tell us whether they truly believe these ransom notes are legitimate, because this is what I think happened. Okay, I think that we have been applying because there's a lot of people that are angry with the Guthrie family. When I speak on this channel, I speak for a lot of things that I'm reading online. You guys know I read. All I do all day long is stay online. That's all I do. I don't talk. I'm just in the bushes. I watch a lot of stuff. I read a lot of stuff. So I understood that there were a lot of people that were very upset with the Guthrie family for a variety of reasons. The reasons that I was reading was the fact that they weren't out searching. They originally thought that they had the PIs. Come to find out, the PIs was not true. Everything that they were doing seemed to be nothing that really moved the needle. They never paid for missing person flyers. There was never really a legitimate missing person flyer ever distributed. And then the family stopped talking about the case altogether. We're not hearing Annie talking about it. We're not hearing Cameron talking about it. And we go weeks and weeks without Savannah talking about it. So people were getting a little butthurt over this. And, of course, I'm a little upset because, people brought it to my attention and I'm seeing it and I'm like, you're right. I even said some unkind things that I do regret saying. I've apologized since then for saying them because while I am angry with her, I don't believe she had anything to do with this, but I'm angry with the fact that they're just not doing what I would hope that a family would do. And that really was what I was trying to convey out. But it's a live show, and sometimes my mouth overruns. I have a pop mouth, so the things that come in my brain just come out my mouth, that pop out my mouth. So at the end of the day, there were some things, and I was a little rough around the edges, but it wasn't just me. There was a lot of people that were feeling the same way, and I think it came down. So I think all this stuff with the ransom note, honestly, I think it's leaked by Savannah. I think Savannah reached out to her media partners and she released certain details about the ransom notes. So everybody went crazy over the ransom notes again, bringing her mother into the fold with this. I think it was her and her team that leaked all this information that would explain the source close to the investigation that has knowledge of these ransom notes. I believe it was Savannah that did this. I believe it was Savannah because to me, it seems like Savannah is the only person that really believes in the ransom notes. I have not seen any law enforcement body, outside of like some feds and other people, I haven't seen, and I'm talking about Jennifer Coffindaffer, okay? Outside of a few people on this platform, I haven't seen any other like law enforcement body really engage in this ransom note. Yeah, they took them serious at first, but I think they ran their course, and if they were legitimate, I feel like, oh, thank you, Lori. Appreciate you, love. Thank you. I feel like they would, they would have said something. And still to this day, we have no law enforcement willing to go on the record to talk about the legitimacy of these ransom. Yeah, Cameron Intel team. Right. That's what I think's going on. When I started seeing this going on, I'm like, how did all these people just pick up on the same story? And it dawned on me very clearly. Yeah, I think it was Savannah leak because this is, this seems like, it fits. It fits. And so I don't think that it truly was the FBI that said, oh, yeah, let's start releasing this, Otherwise, we'd have a statement from the FBI. Okay, everything that I'm reading still says a source near the investigation or near the investigative people, or just some type of hyperbole or some type of by proxy, right? It's not the people that are involved. And my point is if this is something that's legitimate that could help this case, I would hope that the FBI would just provide a press release that we're looking into, this, note as being legitimate. We believe that this is legitimate because of XYZ. And then if they do believe it's legitimate, we're talking about, it being 5 months. 5 months since those letters have come in, and you're telling me our feds can't locate the person in 5 months that authored those? With IP addresses? In America? In America, we can't follow IP addresses. There's no fake VPNs that work in America with our federal government. You guys understand that, right? So again, it comes down to where in the world is the person that authored this? And what about the other people? And Harvey's like, well, yeah, we were kind of doxxed by the feds all this time. The only reason why the feds now have to look at this is because they made a big deal about it. This is what happens. This is what we do in social media too, right? When we need somebody to look at, like the green hoodie guy, what did we do? We ended up putting the green hoodie guy on here and making a big deal about, has anybody talked to the green hoodie guy? And then we realized Sumner County didn't talk to him. And guess what they had to do? Stop what they're doing and go search for the green hoodie guy. right? And then we found out the green hoodie guy wasn't a green hoodie guy at all. He was a green hoodie gal. So there's that. So I believe the reason why the FBI is circling back to this is because they got no choice to circle back to this, because Savannah leaked some details of this to her partners in the media, which now she's a source, right? Savannah's the source. And now they're running with it, and the FBI is like, okay, well, now we have to go back and circle back and make sure we dotted the I's and crossed the T's. Like, I feel like, I'm not saying that that's what's going on. I feel like that's what's going on, you know? DeBoss says, botched investigation from the very beginning. Who releases this sweet scene that quickly? I remember after that was done, Brian Enton went to the door and showed all the blood spotches. Yeah, absolutely. He showed critical evidence in the case, the evidence that went to the integrity of the investigation. They left it all out there for any knowing. I mean, they saw the media circus out there. Did they not think that when they opened that house up that somebody's going to walk up there and knock on the door? I mean, it's the media. That's what they're trained to do. So I don't know. Every time I circle back to the forensic, I do get fired up. I get angry because you know what? You know why I get so angry? It's because Chris Nanos wasn't on the there. This is not even something I can blame Chris Nanos for. That's what upsets me. That's what really rubs me the wrong way when it comes to the forensic. I can't blame Chris Nanos for this. You cannot tell me that crime scene investigator didn't know what the hell they were doing to do something like this. This comes right back to the crime scene investigator and the team that was out there. Who the hell leaves a rug out there? Who the hell leaves the freaking a bracket where a freaking camera went? Like, what idiot does that? I can't even blame Chris Nanos for that. The only people I can blame for that is the crime scene investigation and how shitty that was. So the only people I can blame is definitely not Chris Nanos. I mean, yeah, he's the sheriff. He's the top person. But let's face it, it was the supervisor and the CSI team. And it's probably because they didn't have enough experience in what the hell they were doing to do their job well. And again, it comes back to the politics. So I guess I can blame Chris Nanos for that. I get groceries delivered every Wednesday from a nearby market. It's a free service for people who can't get out, can't drive. Oh, that's nice. That's super nice. I hope everybody did something like that. Well, hello, Captain Obvious. Obvious? Looks like you're missing the S. Obvious? Obvious? Facebooker banned from visiting. Banned from visiting parks. Yes, that's a problem as well. That's a major problem. So let's go ahead and get back to this. I've got a lot of stuff to still show you guys. We're 100. We're an hour already in, and I was going to talk to you guys about. Well, I'll take a segue here. Excuse me. Something really scary happened yesterday, so I wanted to give you guys an update. Springfield Town Center, there was a bomb threat called into local law enforcement stating that the person had placed 20 bombs in and around the Springfield Town Center, I guess it's like a mall or a strip mall, a Virginia mall, and they had to evacuate everybody there. And people sent me a lot of stuff on this. I just wanted to let you know it has been cleared. It sounded like it was a swatting type of call. It was fake. Nobody was injured. No bombs were found. Snipers were reported. They had to do this as an abundance of caution. So I just wanted to tell people, I mean, that had to have been pretty terroristic. And you know, even these when there's nothing there, what they do to scare families. I mean, I'm sure there's not a whole lot of people that go to malls this day and age, in my opinion. And I'm sure the people that go there, this is probably the hub where families and children hang out too. That's just insanity. That's just insanity. So what we're finding out also in this whole ransom thing, we have an article here about $152. We learned yesterday that there was a deposit on that account, and it wasn't enough, obviously, to trigger somebody to go and take the money out, which is what they wanted to do. It was only $152. I don't know why anybody would think $152 would work, but they thought maybe it'd be able to just to trace somebody, go signing into the account is what I presume, just to see what they actually have in their account. So I don't know what they were trying to do, what the motivation was, but according to this article out of the New York Post, they're saying that this $152 crypto mistake by Nancy Guthrie detectives may have forced the kidnappers underground. I don't know necessarily if that's what forced the kidnappers underground. I truly believe it was her death, because now they're on the hook for a homicide. But that's if this is ransom. This is all being generated from something, somehow. And I don't understand why all of a sudden we're talking about the ransom notes again. I don't believe the ransom notes. I've never believed the ransom notes. I am probably 100% wrong. We might find out that the ransom notes, because they withhold everything, too much information that we're not even helpful to these investigations anymore, because they want to, I don't know, whatever. They find reasons to withhold the stuff. I can't figure it out in some of these cases. I really can't, especially the ones that they have nothing. Investigators hunting Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers have one glaring clue that has been staring them from the beginning, and it's the Bitcoin wallet sent by the ransom note writer to the Guthrie family. Crypto experts say the ransom note and the wallet suggest the kidnappers were Farkata amateurs. I don't know what that is. Farkata. Golly, these words that they use. I gotta go back to school. I guess so. It is pronunciated. It doesn't even tell me how it was said. It says this page. They said it's Farkakta. Farkakta. Fark amateurs. But detectives are also reported wondering if they made a massive $152 blunder at the start of the case. The ransom email, which mentioned details about the Guthrie home and the Apple Watch, hadn't been disclosed to the public, demanded $4 million. Let's read that again. A ransom email. Okay? We learned, which is really weird, and this is another thing that I want to point out to everybody. We're hearing from KOLD director, media director, or whatever the lady's name is. We learned it yesterday, that they filled out a form on the website. What are the probabilities of writing the same note on 3 different websites? KOLD, KVOA, TMZ. I mean, I know that they would have probably had to cut and paste it, but even that action, wouldn't that be something? Could that ever be traced? And were the IP address numbers, were those different from KOLD to KVOA to, TMZ? Were they all the same, or were they different? I mean, they say that 2 IP addresses are the same, but it sounds like KOLD is the only person that received the second ransom note. It doesn't seem like KVOA received it, and according to Harvey Levin, he didn't receive it. He only received the first one. So again, the pattern had changed. Why? I'm just not. I just don't know. I really just don't know. But the ransom email, which mentions the Guthrie home, and I think what they're talking about when it's talking about Guthrie home is the broken light on the outside and an Apple Watch that hadn't been disclosed to the public. I think that they're going to say the Apple Watch was on the nightstand next to her or something like that, But again, I mean, think about it. The person that went into this house, we believe, knew this lady. How well, we don't know. But following up on an email and an IP address, she claimed she had died. Again, why can our federal partners not trace the IP address? They have an IP address. What is taking so long? And again, why can't the FBI just put out a statement that they believe that the ransom notes are real? Why does it have to be through secret sources and everything like that, through the media? Nobody is taking accountability or saying that these things are legit. We're hearing it from every other place than the people we're supposed to hear it from. Instead, the FBI deposited $152 in a Bitcoin wallet, hoping the potential kidnappers would transfer the money out, allowing cyber experts to track them down. But it's still sitting there to this day. They never collected it. The suspects would get those $4 million off chain as fast as they can. Ari Redboard, global head policy of TRM Labs, a data firm that helps law enforcement solve crypto-based crimes. They are typically using mainstream exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken that have that user information. Law enforcement can then subpoena them for the information. So they're saying that there's no way to really hide from this cryptocurrency. They will find you one way or another. But instead, the FBI opted to deposit a really small amount. Should they have tried to deposit a much larger amount? Potentially. The strategy is called tickling the wire. Might have worked, especially because, Guthrie's bumbling kidnappers probably wouldn't use more sophisticated tools to cover their tracks. Well, it sounds like they have. I mean, we're 5 months in and we can't have a statement from the feds saying that they believe the ransom note is legitimate or not. And I think they need to release it. Even if it's redacted, I think they need to release the actual note to the public. An actual sophisticated operation wouldn't have gotten involved in a kidnapping conspiracy turned homicide, let alone it's a rookie, shit-set attorney, Todd Spodek, who specializes in cybercrime and represents alleged 16 million fraudster Ronald Spektor, Spektor. I've never heard of that case. A suspect was filmed in cobbled together Walmart masks, gloves, ensemble with a gun awkwardly holstered in his pants, tried and failing to disarm, the doorbell camera on the day she vanished. But he did eventually disarm it. Again, I don't think they gave us even a good timeline. So right now, our timeline in this case, here it is. And this doesn't make sense to me, and I want you guys to make sense of it. Okay, let me move this out of the way so you guys can see it. Look at this. What camera was disarmed? Went offline. Motion detected. Where? Where's the motion detector? Where's the figure on the camera? At what point was the figure on the camera? I believe the guy was there much longer than that's identified here. Right here. I think he was there before 1:47. I think for him to disable this camera, he would have had to have triggered the camera. There's no motion detected before the camera went offline. It doesn't make sense to me. If you play the tape through, we should have, before this camera went offline, we should have had a motion detected. Would everybody agree with that? We should have had a motion detected before a camera went offline. No? I'm currently taking fundamentals of cybersecurity. They can subpoena the VPN company as one way. Also, there is some other tech information that could have been leaked. They're just not doing anything. They're just doing nothing. Absolutely, Paul. That's why I tell everybody here. No matter what, everybody's like, oh, well, they're not going to be able to track it. I use a VPN. They're in America, dude. They can track anything. It's just matter how high you have to go to get it tracked, okay? You can get it tracked all day long as you have enough money and subpoena power to do it. Any court, depending on what it is, would grant it. And that's in civil court. You need a criminal, and you've got the feds and the Secret Service and Homeland Security involved. You don't stand a chance with a VPN. You literally don't stand a chance. So again, it comes down to, if this is a legitimate ransom note, I think the FBI needs to stand up and tell us why the guy's not in jail yet. How do they not have an ID on this person or where he was? Oh, open-minded. I thought you were done with Bullhorn Betty. I thought you were done. Can't stay away, huh? Can't stay away. I see you can't stay away. Admit it. Admit it, open-minded. Life would be boring without me. Life would be boring without me. What are the FBI hackers doing? The hell if I know. The hell if I know. Even the timeline. It doesn't. It doesn't. You are right. It doesn't. It doesn't. So I'm just like, I don't think this is consistent with ransoms that we've ever seen across this globe. Now, I remember No Pain, No Gain. I remember a movie called No Pain, No Gain. It was probably one of the worst movies I think The Rock and Mark Wahlberg were ever in. I think The Rock was in it, if I remember. I think they were both in this movie. It was awful. It was about gym guys. They were all messed up, drugged out of their minds. They wanted to go get this guy. They were going to, force him to hand over his club, and so I know, and it was based upon true events. And so I know people are stupid enough to do stupid shit. Okay, I get it. But still, this doesn't bode with what I think I'm seeing. Ari Alexander, it's not consistent with just about anything. It's hard to falsify things. It is, yeah. Or videos, they did not release them. I'm sorry, I have too many facts. Oh, good gracious, open-minded. Oh, good gracious. What are we going to do with you? Oh, welcome back. And enjoy the show. No 10 p.m. meds. If she was taken, I think it was right after she got home. That's interesting. I'm telling you, I feel like something happened before, because that guy outside of that front door was just too calm. It just seemed like he knew that there was no way in hell anybody was going to call. And somebody that has that kind of confidence, that tells me that she was already disabled, or at least it feels that way. I don't know for a fact whether he was or not. Annie likely did Nancy's laundry and therefore would know her wardrobe. Interesting. Because I would assume that it would have been her caretakers, the people that cleaned her house. Because I know my one of my old bosses, I worked out of her home. She had a really nice home. She was a realtor, and she had her cleaners come in, I don't know, like once or twice a week, and they cleaned the house. They took her bedding. They washed her clothes. They folded her clothes. They changed her bedding. They did a lot of stuff for her. So, I mean, yeah, it's possible. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not. We don't know what their true stuff is. The motion detector at 212 is from the camera on the roof of the house that had the tripod. But wouldn't you also agree, though, open-minded, if that is true, wouldn't you also agree that there would have had to have been motion detector before the camera went offline? If the motion detection is based on the rooftop camera, then where's the motion detector going off saying that we have an assailant at the front house trying to reach down and pick up, weeds to pull the camera off? I mean, we should have motion detector on that one. So that's where the confusion is. How do you know for certain that that's what it is? That's an assumption you're making, in my opinion, because we have no proof of anything from law enforcement to decipher this, because I've been asking it from day one, and I've been looking for the answers since day one. And you've been here enough times to know that this is not the first time we have questioned this timeline here. So I don't know. I think that's it's possible. I'm not disagreeing entirely with you. But I'm still concerned about the 147 camera offline, because before a camera can go offline It's got to pick up motion as you're ripping it off. And let's be honest, the only motion we saw going on is out that front door. They didn't release any other motion to us. So I just, it is. My doorbell camera picks up movement before the doorbell even rings. Mine does too. It dings as soon as I pull into the driveway. It dings. As soon as I walk up to the door, it dings again. So, and I've got a blink camera, so mine, before I even get into the door, I have 2 notifications that I'm here. Again, one, when I pull into my driveway, I get a ding. And as I walk up to the door, and when I get right there to open the screen door, I get another ding. And that's not even me pushing the doorbell button. That's just, and that might even have been a 3rd ding for all I know. Maybe I need to do that. Maybe we need to do that. That's why the detective was on the roof pulling the SIM card, because it was an old style camera. Interesting. Where did you get that information? Out of curiosity. Okay, so we have 208 votes. Do you believe a ransom note is real? And we have the majority of our audience, 2/3 of our audience says no. The ransom note is not real. So that's about 100% of our actual subscribers. So none of the Bullhorn Betty subscribers here on the show really, I mean, I'm sure there might be a few of you, but nobody really believes that we have, that this ransom note is real. See, I just don't believe it's real. There's just too many things that are glaring. You know what? Let's ask one of our. Let's ask Perplexity. We'll go to Perplexity. What cases are like the Nancy Guthrie case that have an abduction with ransom, but the abductor stayed at the home an extraordinary amount of time, approximately, was it 40 plus minutes, 40 plus minutes, and took over 40 hours to send a ransom. This just doesn't, I'm gonna put my interpretation. Let's see here. What cases are like the Nancy Guthrie cases that have an abduction with a ransom, but the abductor stayed at the home for an extraordinary amount of time, approximately 40 plus minutes, and took over 40 hours to send a ransom note. The ransom note didn't go to the family. This defies. Okay, let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. Maybe we'll find something weren't expecting. Hello. Anybody coming in? Sorry I missed anybody coming in. Come on in. We're just doing some research here. Did I say hi to you, Michelle? Hopefully I did. This is a great show this morning. I have to run to adult. Have a great day. I hate adulting. Okay, let's see what it says. It says, the Nancy Guthrie case is unusual because the alleged abductors appear to have spent a long time inside the house and then routed ransom demands through media outlets instead of directly to the family. That combination is not the standard kidnapper pattern, and investigators have publicly called the media contact route unusual. Okay, so let's move on. So the closest pattern. I did not find a single well-known case that matches all of your details exactly, but the closest pattern is kidnapping where the offender sends ransom letters to third parties rather than the victim's family. In the Nancy Guthrie case, reports say that the first note went to multiple media outlets, including TMZ, and in later notes also went to news organizations rather than the family. What makes it rare? In ordinary ransom kidnappings, the offenders usually contact someone who can actually pay because that creates leverage. A retired FBI agent quoted in reporting saying ransom situations are typically kept private and involve the suspect and the family, which is why the public media route stands out. And you know what? We forgot about that. I sure hope that Harvey Levin doesn't end up going missing like the scientist because ransom notes. Good gracious. Okay. You know what, though? That does make sense, guys. You know what we did not take into consideration? It is the fact that they didn't keep it quiet. You know, because we never even thought about that. Oh my gosh. In many ransom demands, what do they say? Don't reach out to the cops, right? Isn't that what they typically say? Like, don't reach out to the cops. Don't make contact with law enforcement. Don't do this. Don't do that, right? The cops were already involved when they got there and they still didn't try to hush it up. That's so important because usually in these ransom notes, they don't want law enforcement involved. That's why it's so immediate. When they take the person, they demand the money. And they have usually the demand of, don't call the cops. So this even defies ransoms even further. There's something more going on here. It's been hard for me to believe these ransoms, and now that I'm reading this, it's even becoming more difficult for me to believe. The long time inside the home is also part of why analysts are treating this case as atypical. One report quoted an investigator saying that spending about 45 minutes inside a home is unheard of. Unheard of, folks. And other commentary in the coverage described a 41-minute window as highly suspicious and inconsistent with a fast, opportunistic burglar. And that would go in line, folks, with the snatch and grab of an elderly woman for money. Okay, they're not going to lollygag in a freaking home. If they were going to spend this much time in a home, they would have packed her a to-go bag. Okay? That didn't happen. So now they're going to talk about comparable historical patterns. The broader pattern that most resembles this is a non-traditional ransom attempt where the offender seems to want attention, misdirection, or a public channel rather than a clean extortion. So it tells me that this person that's doing these ransoms are seeking attention. That doesn't sound like somebody that just committed homicide. One classic example is the Lindbergh kidnapping. Now, guys, this was a long time ago. Who would be so dumb? Anyways, where the ransom process was highly unusual for its era, but even that case still involved direct family contact more than media-first communication. So there's literally, guys, no no notable ransom in this country, let alone this world, that resembles what we're dealing with here in the Nancy Guthrie case. And I'm sorry, I don't believe that knucklehead on the outside of the home is going to be the first to do something like this in the entire world. Okay? I just don't think so. A lot of this case is fake, set up, twisted to make it look a certain way. No ransom goes to the media networks. It doesn't even tell yeah. Somebody is trying really hard to cover up what happened. Bingo, bingo, bingo. That is exactly what I think. That is exactly what I think. Where is it? Where's my button? Where's my button? No, that's not the right one. There it is. And that's it. I mean, that really is it, you know? It really is. I don't think she's covering anything. I think she truly believes it because she can't allow herself to believe anything else, you know, because I think, you know, when her brother basically told her it was her fault, she internalized that, and she doesn't believe that this is for anybody, that this is all her fault. I think she's just, listen, she's a victim. This is PTSD for her. She can't be thinking, you know, well at this point in her life with everything going on and her going back to work, which I said was a horrible idea, but you know, what do I know? I mean, these are rich people. They I don't understand them. I'll never understand them and the way they think. But I don't think she's covering. I think she wants to believe this because I think believing something else is too hard for her. I don't think that I don't think she believes anybody would want to hurt her mother, that this has to be because of her. So I think that I don't think she's the best person to be getting information from. I think her mind is really messed up over this. I mean, it's her mom. Her mind should be messed up over this, right? Even though we're upset that they're not using the platforms as much as we think they should, at the end of the day, we don't believe Savannah had anything to do with this. This is her mother. I mean, you know, we are reasonable here, and sometimes I get a little unreasonable, and I have to walk things back and apologize for them. And but for this, you know, I feel bad, but no, I don't think she's intentionally. I just don't think she can see clearly right now. You know, I really think that that's more in line with what we're dealing with Savannah. Another useful comparison is a case where investigators later concluded the ransom note itself was staged, delayed, and not meant to produce payment at all. That's why a ransom note sent after a long unexplained delay can suggest one of several possibilities. The offender was improvising, hiding the victim's condition, trying to manipulate media coverage, or it was not the primary abductor. Based on reporting, the strongest explanation for the Guthrie-style pattern are the abductor wanted attention on leverage through publicity, not just money. Okay? The note was not normal ransom communication and may have been crafted to misdirect the investigation, which, in all fairness, that's what I believe. If this is from the person, right? If this is from the person, I think that is what it is. It was never about the money. It was about misdirecting investigators, if it was. But, you know, it's between that and whether more than one person may have been involved to create the delay, contradictions in how the ransom contact is handled. But I don't agree with that, but I agree with it could be somebody of, you know, trying to capitalize on this tragedy. And it says, for your case research, if you're building a list of cases like Nancy Guthrie, I would organize them into 3 buckets instead of just a perfect match. So the 3 buckets that AI is recommending is abduction with media-directed ransom notes. That's one bucket. The second bucket would be home intrusion cases with an unusual long on-scene presence. That's another bucket. And then the third bucket would be cases where ransom communications looked performative, staged, or indirect rather than practical extortion. So again, when we're really looking at this entire situation with this ransom note, it's getting harder and harder to believe, okay? No law enforcement has stood on their integrity and came to us and say, we believe these ransom notes are good. I believe that Savannah believes these ransom notes. The only person I've heard talk about these ransom notes with impunity is Savannah. So hearing that this is all circling back to these ransom notes, I believe it was Savannah that leaked this story. I believe it was Savannah and Savannah's team that leaked the details of these ransom notes to because nothing is going on in the case, and I believe she believes the ransom notes are legit. I don't. And so far, you know, I'm listening to law enforcement. I'm and while there is mixed messaging in our law enforcement genre of YouTube and social media, you know, and they have their different opinions, like I talked to you guys about the butting of heads, you know, professional butting of heads between Jennifer Coffindaffer and Chris McDonough. I was watching it, you know, Jennifer Coffindaffer believes in the ransom note, believes this is a wrench attack. You know, I'm not supporting that. You know, I've looked at the wrench attacks. I don't understand how this mimics other wrench attacks that they've classified as wrench attacks. We don't even have confirmation that Miss Nancy Guthrie even had cryptocurrency and wrench attacks target cryptocurrency account holders for their key and password to steal the money out of those accounts. This, they're trying to say, it could potentially be a wrench attack because their ransom's demanding Bitcoin. It's apples and oranges in my opinion. And so, you know, Chris McDonough went out there and basically said that there's a lot of resources out there with the people, right? The people out there, that he believes it's a criminal that's out there in there, that this just went terribly wrong. And he's kind of pushing back a little bit on this wrench attack. And he had said something about the homeless population, and then she capitalized on the homeless population. She started like, I don't believe a homeless person. So this was kind of playing out on X and YouTube here, back and forth between them. If you guys are not following them on all the platforms, you probably missed it. You can go back and see it. She didn't call Chris out directly, but she's like, if anybody thinks that this is just a homeless person, I can guarantee this is not homeless. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I knew that was directly directed at Chris McDonough. And then he addressed it on his YouTube, and he's like, I'm not saying that this is a homeless person. I'm like, okay. So we have an FBI agent, a retired FBI agent, and the Cold Case Foundation director kind of butting heads on, and that's you know, that's good. That's what you want. Okay, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing or an unprofessional thing. I'm not saying that at all. That is how you get to where you get in these investigations, is having those investigators not parroting each other, thinking things that are different. But I gotta tell you, it was pretty funny to watch. You know, I was trying to decide whether I needed to order popcorn. I'm saying, and I'm not playing. I'm saying, hello, Bluegrass Grand. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. Pretty Little Clues, good morning. Shannon, good morning. Good morning. So we do have this contrast between, you know, what people think is going on. I'm glad and appreciate both of their expertise and opinions. But for me, I've done the research. I don't trust any. Listen, I appreciate law enforcement. I lean on them for information to help guide me. But I'm not. Sometimes I support the professionals and say, yeah, I agree with this. Sometimes I don't. I don't agree with this. I don't think the ransom note's legitimate. I think there's too many indicators here that indicate the ransom note is not legitimate. And I feel that if it truly was a legitimate item in this case, law enforcement would be publicly saying it, not these secret source bullshit in these reports, okay? If it's legitimate, law enforcement should just say they're legitimate, you know? The first one is absolutely legitimate. We're not sure about the rest of them. The first two are absolutely legitimate, but we don't believe the rest of them are. That's not going to the integrity of the investigation at all. But no law enforcement in 5 months, we're teetering into 6 months, has decided to come out and talk anything about these ransom notes. As a matter of fact, the only person that has talked about these ransom notes has been the Guthrie family. That's it. And we have to remember where that came from, right? Which, again, perks up people's ears. It was Cameron. Cameron's the one that believed that this was an abduction for ransom. He was the one that believed this was an abduction for ransom long before anybody else did. Why? What did he know or see that gave him that indication, that inclination that this was a ransom, that this was an abduction for money? So much so that he blamed his own sister, which many people thought were pretty heartless to do. You know? But he's military, and military, they're just kind of cut from a different cloth than we are. They have no bedside manner. They're just kind of, just direct. I deal with military people. I appreciate the directness, but it's lack of emotion. It's military. He was military, so I kind of expect it from him. And again, I'm not accusing him of having anything to do with his mother's disappearance. I know people have. People even have said that they believed he was in Arizona when she disappeared, which would be very, very, but nobody's been able to confirm that with me, so I can't adopt it. We can talk about it and say it's speculating and stuff like that, but that's to the extent that we can do. But what has ever really led us to this? If we look at the ransoms that we've seen, one thing that is very notable is the delay. Everything in here has been a delay, right? That is going to be the most critical. It's the delay in how long that they were inside the home. That is a problem for me. 41 minutes is entirely too long. And that, again, if we were... I'm looking for timestamps also. Please watch Nancy Grace from last night. Okay, I'll watch it. And I don't really watch a lot of the Drunk Turkey show. I don't know why. I haven't watched them in a really long time. Hey, Janet. Janet. Good gracious. I can't speak today. Yvonne, it's nice to see you. Cameron looked pretty disgusted with the rest of the family from the start. He didn't even partake in the fake crying down the driveway. I did notice that. And we believed he was inside the house at the time. But you know what? They could have been watching people on camera to see what their reaction is. They could have been trying to rattle a tree or get somebody, we don't know why they do the things that they do. We think that they are doing them for this reason or that reason, but they may have tried, to see if somebody was going to tune in or trigger somebody or something like that. That we don't know. We never really know what they're doing. They do a lot of different things behind the scenes that we will never, ever know. Ever. To try to locate who could be possible. Cindy? Groovy Gal? Frank? Sue? Good morning. Nice to see you. If you guys are just coming in, we've been covering, going over the case of this Nancy Guthrie, but predominantly with the ransom note. You guys know my position on it. My position on it is I just don't believe that they're legitimate. I feel the breaking news this morning is I don't have anything to support my theory, but I feel it was Savannah that leaked all this stuff, that got all this stuff about the ransom notes going into the media. And I don't think it was law enforcement. I think it was Savannah and her team, because she talked about it on the show. She wanted people to focus on the ransom note. We haven't heard anything from her in a really long time. Now all of a sudden she wants everybody to focus on this ransom note. The details about her being buried in nature, for me, it feels like that was released by the family. They would be close to the investigation with investigative knowledge. They would have known what was in those ransom notes. It sounds to me like it was Savannah that leaked this throughout the media. And I think this wave of media is a direct result of Savannah. And it's not to dig on her at all. I think she's hearing people, frustrated about her not talking about her mom, not being involved in her mom and stuff like that. And I truly believe she thinks that these ransom notes are legitimate. There are a few things that might make these ransom note legitimate. Now, it comes down to what Nancy was wearing. This is up for debate right now, because many people adopted the fact that they believed that she was talking about what she was wearing to bed. Nowhere do I see anything related to what she was wearing to bed. It says that they correctly described what she was wearing. And I'm like, well, how would they correctly describe what she was wearing if she was wearing stuff to bed? And then the light bulb went off. What if they described what she was wearing over to Annie and Tommaso's house for dinner and games? Now there would be nobody that would have that information except the people inside that home and Miss Guthrie. And, of course, the Uber driver. Those would be the only people that would know what Miss Nancy Guthrie was wearing, except the assailant, because the assailant we know was in town. We know that he was seen and observed, so we expect that he may have been in and around the house by the time she came home from her daughter's house. But again, it's all assumed. We can't make a determination whether they were talking about what she was wearing to bed or what she was wearing over to Annie and Tommaso's house. So we need some clarification there as well. I personally think at this point, release the damn ransom note. Release the damn ransom note. How could it hurt? And even if there's some things that are still in the ransom note that have not been released to the public, then either take some exact excerpts out of the note, or submit the note redacted. Cut out the stuff that we can't see and give us the stuff that's already public knowledge. This will clear up a lot of stuff. This will look very transparent, and it's something that we can see and touch and analyze, right? And analyze. And I think that we're not entitled to that. And unless it could produce something useful for them, they're not going to release it. But I do believe by them releasing it, it would produce something useful for them. That's just my opinion. But I definitely believe that it would produce something positive for them. We will find out, though. Aww. Have you reset your computer, The Real Me Too? If you reset your computer, that might you might have to shut it down and reboot it. Or if you're on your phone, you might have to shut it down and reboot it, unless it's just your internet. And then if it's your internet, I would unplug your box and wait 10 seconds and plug it back in. People talked about that. Also, Alec cannot delete everything because it still is on YouTube no matter what. I don't know what that's all going. I know what is pretty say. Hold on here. It says, I know I need to find an IT expert to get the info out to verify what I'm seeing. Yeah, well, send me if you have something. We've got a lot of people that watch this show, and we have experts that watch this. So I can find somebody. I think January 11th, the perp showing up on the camera was him looking at himself. Had access to the camera and looked at himself to see what he looked like. Ooh, that would be creepy. That'd be somebody very, very close. Very close. Ooh, look who it is. It is the hen house. I feel like in my own opinion, her mother was scared for her career. How big Savannah is on the news. I feel she sold her soul. This is my opinion, my own opinion. I agree. Like I said, people in Hollywood and New York, they're just a different breed of people. For me, they really are. They think differently. They act differently. And I'm sorry. They're just, to me, they're not normal. Hey, Barbara, it's nice to see you. Savannah's fakest tears, #1. Yeah, a lot of people have been complaining about, they feel like this stuff is, like even her stuff. I think the one that she just did the other day was a little more emotional, but a lot of people are talking about, it seems very staged and, disconnected. But I still think it has something to do with that house behind her. I really do. I feel like they took her there. We did have a vacant house, but I believe they checked all the vacant houses, and I would assume that they would have picked up a scent if she was taken there. I don't know where she was taken. I don't know what happened. You know who should know? Law enforcement should know. If they didn't turn off all the damn cameras, Hey, Hey, Chris. It's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. Yes, I believe Annie and Tommaso did get an alert from that pacemaker and then called cops when she wasn't there. That would be interesting. I want to know, there's a lot of details we just don't know. I think when you guys bring this stuff up, I think we learn a little more about details that we probably don't know. But the good news is law enforcement probably does know these things. I don't know until law enforcement comes. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be very sticky on this subject. I really am. I'm just gonna be very sticky, whether I like to or not. I'm gonna be very sticky. I don't believe the ransom notes. The only thing that's going to convince me otherwise is when FBI comes out and says the ransom notes are legit, or we have some law enforcement body, tell us that they truly believe these are legitimate notes. At this point, it's not going to the integrity of the investigation at this point. I think that we need to have law enforcement come forward, because this whole thing about this back and forth with secret sources and stuff I'm done with it. When it comes to this subject, I'm done with it. If they truly believe, they should stand on their hill. They should give us the transparency we need. We're not asking to go to the integrity of the investigation. We're just asking a simple question. Does law enforcement truly believe that at least one or two of these ransom notes are legitimate? It's a yes or no question. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be what it is. Are they legitimate? I just want law enforcement to answer a very simple question. Hey, Bigfoot, it's nice to see you. And right now we don't have that. So it's been quite frustrating. We know what's in there. We talked about it yesterday. We talked about the, buried in nature. That sounds very poetic. If the family is not on the hook for this and they've been cleared, are we sure this isn't somebody that's affiliated or associated with Annie and Tommaso? Not because they worked together and conspired to hurt them, but are we sure that it wasn't a student that they kicked out of class, or somebody that felt like they wronged them and they wanted to get them back? I mean, we've always been looking at Savannah Guthrie, but we never looked at Annie and Tommaso. Are we sure that they don't have anybody in their history that would want to hurt their to get back at them for something? That's where we have to, in my opinion, that's where we have to go in this conversation, because buried in nature, who does use that? And why would somebody risk getting caught? Like, they know that the FBI, law enforcement, is monitoring and watching them, and that next post might be what seals the deal and gets them caught. And they send it to tell her that they buried her, that she's dead. Basically, they're admitting to homicide. They admitted to homicide. They're sending her a note to admit to a homicide. In what world would that be remotely logical? A poet would use that. Yeah. So, if it's not the family, if Tommaso and Annie have been cleared, and they have, why are we not looking into their history and people that might be mad at them or want revenge to them? They're young enough, And it does kind of sound a little poetic. I'm trying to recover from laughing attack I'm currently experiencing. I don't know. I think that it would do us all. I mean, I think it would be a benefit. Not just a benefit to the content creators that are covering this case, but I truly think it would be a benefit to the case if those ransom notes are released and provided to the world. I think that at this point, what do they have to lose is kind of, I guess, my position on this. Like, at this point, what do they have to lose? Buried in nature seems like a culture where groves are common, like pagans. That goes in nature. And that might be what winds people up to that, what do they call the, I'm sorry, territories, the Indian areas? Reservation. There we go. The reservation, the Indian reservation. It makes you wonder, maybe that's why they were kind of gearing toward this Indian reservation-esque like. But there's so much nature around Nancy Guthrie's home. Put yourself in the perpetrator's shoes. If you're already scared about being caught and you've just killed someone, are you really going to make a last-ditch effort to tell them that you murdered their loved one? Arizona Raven says it was a pagan ritual night. Interesting. Why wouldn't you walk up to something, take down the camera? This day and age, even if you didn't have prior knowledge, you'd assume the door. Yeah. And he did see the doorbell camera, and he just nonchalantly let me go over here. Let me see if I can find something to pull this thing off. Let's just go over here, meander over here. This looks about right. Yeah, this looks about right. Looking around, has time to look around, comes back over there and tries to start, getting that camera off. So I have to think that this was triggering. This triggered something. Like I said, I pull up because I got my phone in my car when I pull up into the driveway, and I get a ding on my phone. Then I walk up to the door before I even touch the door handle, the screen door handle. I get another ding on my phone. So you're talking about him walking up. So there's a ding. Then he walked away. Then he moved again. There's a ding. Then he walked up and started finagling with it. You probably had at least 2 or 3 dings or notifications, and he's just nonchalantly out there just lollygagging. He didn't know if Miss Guthrie was getting those dings, if she was turning on her app and see this masked gunman outside her front door. That's what makes me believe she was disabled already before he even went out there to disconnect the camera. Because there's just something about his behavior out there that's just wrong. Just all types of wrong. McDonough isn't done with his weeks-long visit there, so more Savannah drama will be occurring. Fake tears all the way. The more Chris uncovers, the more she will choke and cry. Interesting. Well, I can tell you he's not happy with the media out there. I don't think anybody's really happy with the media out there. That's for sure. Arizona Raven. Let me go back up here. I think I just passed you. There you. Hell with it. I'll say it. Long ago, met up with a coven from all over the world on the night boat cruise at Canyon Lake. Scared the F out of us. We left quickly, and there was a dog sacrifice. Oh, BB, you'd be proud how much I'm pissing Pima County off with. Well, I'm very good. Good for you. Good for you. We love that. I absolutely believe that. Ask me to lower my request. Oh, yeah. I hope that you continue to do it. If you'd like to share it, I'd love to. If you want to come on my channel, I'd love for you to explain it to everybody. We got to get, we got a few people. I've got to do an interview. Okay, so this is kind of the schedule that's coming up for everybody to know beforehand. You guys know I'm going to DC for our 250th, okay? I'm praying to God we have nothing go on there, but you guys know it's going to be a very large celebration. God knows if what's going to happen, you know. We have, so I'm just going to tell you guys before I go, I love ya! Hopefully I make it back in one piece, but if I don't, you know I went out fighting like a mofo. Okay. So I'll be gone. I'm going to be leaving probably the 29th, and I probably won't be back until, I don't know, the 7th or 8th. It's going to be quite the doozy because I got to go up to, I'm going to be up there for a few days. And then Alec Murdaugh's case is going to be starting the day I'm leaving to head to DC. So his actual trial is going to be starting. So I'm going to be kind of screwed. We're not going to be there for his trial. I told you guys that I haven't been. So I'm going to try to stop by South Carolina and get at least a day or two of some coverage from the ground for the Alec Murdaugh case. And then I'll be heading back home. So I should be back home by the 8th or the 9th. And again, it's just going to be what it is. Tomorrow we should be good. Tomorrow morning we'll be coming live very early. I've got a luncheon I've got to go to, and then I'll be free the rest of the day. I'll be free the rest of the day on Friday. I've got a political thing I'm doing in the evening, and then of course the weekend, Saturday I'm at Laura's, so we'll do an early morning live. Sunday we'll pack entire Sunday, so I'll do one very early in the morning. It'll open everybody up for the church, and then we'll come in the afternoon and do a final show in the evening. That'll be Sunday. Monday I will probably be taking it a little easy. Betty, it's just a hearing. Trial won't start until the year. Okay, thank God. I misread that. When you sent that to me and said it was the 29th, I'm like, shit. Okay, good. Then maybe I won't stop. Then I might be able to be back by the 6th or the 7th. That would be nice. So we'll figure it out, but I want to be at Alec Murdaugh's trial. We've been every piece of this case we've been involved in, and we're going to continue to see this case through. It's a major case. It's in South Carolina. It is a man that manipulated everybody. I think he's a psychopath. I think he is a psychopath, like a legit psychopath. I don't know how you can marry your high school sweetheart and murder her, or your youngest child that you helped raise, walk, loved, and gave everything to. I don't understand that. It takes a real psychopath to do something like that. So he had the whole world eating out of the palm of his hand. He had everything that we would only dream of having in our lives, and he pissed it all away over greed. Should sue the clerk. He's suing her all right, and she's fighting it. She's trying to have it dismissed. I don't know how that's going to go. We'll see. But it sounds like the clerk, she's financially done. She's financially done, and she's damaged herself so late in life. I don't know if she'll ever be able to recover from this, to be honest with you. So, guys and Betty, check out the dog rescue that has the law looking for 735 dogs presumed dead or missing. Big thing. Oh my gosh, that's awful. That is the most corrupt good old boy club story. Yeah, it's disgusting. The amount of corruption that I've seen, like the corruption in Tennessee is bad, and it is widespread, but not every community is legit corrupt. I mean, they have a little bit of what could potentially be classified as corruption, but it's so low level. It doesn't move the needle. And then you come all the way to where you have Pima County, and you've seen how corrupt they are. They literally try to control people's speech and what they post online. Like, that is Gestapo. Sending a cop to your house telling you can't post, and, oh, by the way, we're going to punish you and say you can't even go on to public parks. I wish you would, Pima County. I wish you would. 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 Somebody needs to help these people out there. Somebody needs to put a stop to this. And trust me, if this is going on, you've got a corrupt government. That entire government is corrupt. There is no way this sheriff can do all that he's doing to all these people without help. Okay? And it takes help up the food chain. That means judges, the DA, they're all in bed together. All of them. Green burials, look it up. May mean something. Yeah, might. Oh, did we get a member? Brown Eyes, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straight-jacket and your padded room and welcome aboard. Guys, thank you so much for all the support today. We really do appreciate you. All right, guys. Well, I love you. You guys go have a great day. We have another show at 4 p.m. tonight. The show is for Lily and Jack Sullivan. We haven't touched the case in a really long time. We need a full circle here. There are some things moving along with relation to Daniel Martel. Daniel Martel, I've never really liked him. I've made it very clear that he's hitting all the boxes in the right spot throughout this case. But there was just something about him, and that was prior to this this most current arrest. So we've got some arrests, to discuss. Now, it's not related to Lily and Jack, but it might give us a little insight on what was going on inside that house before they disappeared. Very interesting case. The kids were only 4 and 6 years old at the time they disappeared. Heartbreaking case. Absolutely heartbreaking. But I believe both parents are involved to some degree because we've got a mom that showed no emotion and ran away from that house the very next day. And a drug addict stepdad or boyfriend, whatever you want to call him. Something ain't right here. It's all types of wrong, and it sounds like 2 young children were the victim of a drug-fueled home. So we will further discuss later this afternoon around 4. It gives us a long, wide open area. So if there is any breaking news today, I will be definitely filling in those gaps with the breaking news as we hear them. I may, if this afternoon, I might decide to throw in a live on, Sebastian Rogers or Lynette Hooker. We'll see how the day progresses today. And just stay tuned. If you have never subscribed to my channel before, please consider subscribing. Bookmark this page. We went over quite a bit of stuff today. I'm just not believing the ransom notes. I'd like the ransom notes to be released. I think at this point, what could it hurt? If it could just help move this case along, let's see what we can do. Do just little baby steps here with law enforcement. Something's got to give here. We're here to help bring Nancy home. We're here to help uncover and broadcast any information law enforcement has, but we need law enforcement to communicate the information that needs to be released. This ain't working. Okay, this ain't working. It shouldn't take freaking 3 years to get these cases wrapped up. Okay, at some point we've got to streamline these processes. Okay, and we got to start understanding what can be sent out to the public. We're here to help. Regardless whether it complicates things, we're here to help. And things need to be released, in my opinion, to help move this case along. The case is not going to move along with everybody being silent in the case. We've seen this play out before. We know how it ends. It ends in cold case. Okay, so in order to prevent this from being a cold case, I wish law enforcement would please take the earmuffs off and listen. Okay, this is something that many of us excel well in. We understand that there's integrity of an investigation that must be adhered to. We respect that. We understand that. But there's also information that could help move this case along, that could help get people thinking, that could help people start calling in new and different and refreshed leads. And if we're not hitting, if we keep hitting out, we need those leads to continue to come in, because as soon as those leads stop, we're screwed. Law enforcement knows it, and we here in the true crime genre know it. So we're trying to keep this from ever being cold. Sebastian Rogers, did you see the younger rookie cop that is now being questioned? He has a history of touching. There's a whole crew of people out there. They've stopped looking for Sebastian. Listen, the reason, if you're wondering why these things are going on, and I think it's a great thing, right? Our federal government is now paying our law enforcement around this country to do what they should have been doing a long time ago. Finding these people that are preying upon our children and putting them behind bars. Our law enforcement across this country refuse to do that, okay? They're making the feds pay for it, and now we're paying for it, okay? So we the people we have all of these grants to all of these law enforcement, across this country, saying, hey, if you initiate these programs, good gracious with the hiccups, if you initiate these programs in your law enforcement department, we'll pay you to do them. because we want our children to be protected, since half of our law enforcement departments stick their head in the freaking sand. So, if you want to know why all of these cases are being put to the wayside for all this CSAM stuff, it's because they have their hands out saying we want federal money. Our cases where children are ripped out of their bed or murdered by their parents or anything like that, they don't matter because they're not giving us money. So we want money, and therefore we're just going to focus on CSAM. It is the position of the Bullhorn Betty channel that even Sumner County can walk and chew gum. And so for them to be putting all the resources to federal funds, to collecting federal funds, and not trying to find the persons that hurt Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and prevented him from being able to come home, they should be in jail. Yet they are being pushed to the wayside, being able to live their best life ever, while Sumner County and other counties around this world, around this country, have stopped focusing on their crimes, the cases that they need to research now, and they put all their efforts in an effort to collect federal funds. And so that is what we're dealing with in Sumner County. They're not doing anything else but that. Now, granted, they have been producing results, right? So we want to be thankful for that. We don't want people that are engaging in that type of practices. Those are directly related to our young children, and it is not a victimless crime. Our young children are being injured by the droves for this profitable CSAM crap going on the internet. All types of little kids are being injured because of it. And, you know, so this is a necessary step. But to stop any type of investigation in other cases in order to do this for profit is very disgusting and highly disturbing. So I just wanted to be clear. I'm very happy that we are getting things done. We should have been doing this a long time ago, and it shouldn't take our federal partners, our federal government paying you to do your damn job. That really bothers me. But hey, I'm glad our federal government realizes everybody in this country hasn't been doing their job, so they are dangling money in front of you to get you off your butts and out there in the field. That I'm very, very thankful for. But we cannot forget the victims in those communities that are going unnoticed, like Sebastian Rogers, right? Like where law enforcement has forgotten who he is, or that he's missing, or that there are still several people that need to be put in jail. While they go after these low-hanging fruit crimes, the people that really actually hurt somebody, hurt a kid, get to sit in their bed. That is what I think we are all getting sick and tired of. So let us help law enforcement help law enforcement. But again, they won't get out of their own way. They think their way is right, no matter how much you try to prove to them it's wrong. But you can't teach old dogs new tricks. That's why they're still doing the playbook from 1996. So, and if you don't believe me, then why in the hell was Sebastian's house not turned into a crime scene immediately? Why was the family allowed to sit inside that home, move around inside that home while a child was missing? You know why? Because they're idiots. That's why. And we're sick and tired of having idiots running our law enforcement departments. So, anyways, that's where I'm at with this. That's my soapbox. That's my that's my shtick here. SESO won't even give Seth any flyers, nor will Snuggle Struggles won't even talk to him. Like, the sheriff out there won't even talk to him. He locks the fucking door. When do you have a lock? Like, Tennessee is disgusting to me. I don't even want to talk about Tennessee with their locked doors, and they're scared of their own having to do their own damn job. I'm sorry, any law enforcement department, you're supposed to be a safe space. Okay, maybe I'm going to get on a tangent. You're supposed to be a safe space, and this goes to Tennessee and North Carolina. This goes to Tennessee and North Carolina. Go out in Miranda's rescue. Go check out. Okay, I will. Sebastian's parents heard him. That's who. But let's put this in perspective. Now, you know what? I'm not even gonna get into it. We saw something. You guys have a great day. We'll get into it later this afternoon. I hope everybody is doing well. Have a great day. Let me know what you think about this ransom note. It seems like at least 2/3 of our audience don't believe it's real. They believe it's staged, and I'm starting to adopt that. Actually, I've been adopting that for quite some time. I didn't just start adopting it, but the staged part, I never quite said it was staged. But you know what? I feel like it is. I feel like it's the red herring. I feel like it's to make us look over there, and that's where I truly believe. Hey, John, it's nice to see you. Welcome. We're leaving though. We're now closing out the show. Come back, go back and replay the show. We had a great show today. I hope everybody does. And if you're on the replay crew and you get this far, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to hype me if you still have some hypes left. And I just want to tell you all, we do appreciate you, and I hope you guys appreciate the work that we do here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Take care.